6.5 The World of School. The World of School. Remember Yuri Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems model we learned about when we first examined theories of development? This model helps us understand an individual by examining the context in which the person lives and the direct and indirect influences on that person's life. School becomes a very important component of children's lives during middle childhood, and one way to understand children is to look at the world of school. We have discussed educational policies that impact the curriculum in schools above. Now let's focus on the school experience from the standpoint of the student, the teacher and parent relationship, and the cultural messages or hidden curriculum taught in school in the United States. Parents vary in their level of involvement with their children's schools. Teachers often complain that they have difficulty getting parents to participate in their child's education and devise a variety of techniques to keep parents in touch with daily and overall progress. For example, parents may be required to sign a behavior chart each evening to be returned to school, or may be given information about the school's events through websites and newsletters. There are other factors that need to be considered when looking at parental involvement. To explore these, first ask yourself if all parents who enter the school with concerns about their child are received in the same way. If not, what would make a teacher or principal more likely to consider the parents' concerns? What would make this less likely? Leroux and Horvat, 2004, found that teachers seek a particular type of involvement from particular types of parents. While teachers thought they were open and neutral in their responses to parental involvement, in reality, teachers were most receptive to support, praise, and agreement coming from parents who were most similar in race and social class with the teachers. Parents who criticized the school or its policies were less likely to be given voice. Parents who have higher levels of income, occupational status, and other qualities favored in society have family capital. This is a form of power that can be used to improve a child's education. Parents who do not have these qualities may find it more difficult to be effectively involved. Leroux and Horvat, 2004, offer 3 cases of African American parents who were each concerned about discrimination in the schools. Despite evidence that such discrimination existed, their children's white, middle-class teachers were reluctant to address the situation directly. Note the variation in approaches and outcomes for these 3 families. The Williams family. This working-class African-American couple, a minister and a hairstylist, voiced direct complaints about discrimination in the schools. Their claims were thought to undermine the authority of the school, and as a result, their daughter was kept in a lower reading class. However, her grade was boosted to avoid a scene, and the parents were not told of this grade change. The Irving family. This middle-class African-American couple was concerned that the school was discriminating against black students. They fought against it without using direct confrontation by staying actively involved in their daughter's schooling and making frequent visits to the school, so make sure that discrimination could not occur. They also talked with other African-American teachers and parents about their concerns. Miss Cauldron. This poor single parent was concerned about discrimination in the school. She was a recovering drug addict receiving welfare. She did not discuss her concerns with other parents because she did not know the other parents and did not monitor her child's progress or get involved with the school. She felt that her concerns would not receive attention. She requested spelling lists from the teacher on several occasions, but did not receive them. The teacher complained that Miss Cauldron did not sign forms that were sent home for her signature. Working within the system without direct confrontation seemed to yield better results for the Irvings, although the issue of discrimination in the school was not completely addressed. Miss Cauldron was the least involved and felt powerless in the school setting. Her lack of family capital and lack of knowledge and confidence keep her from addressing her concerns with the teachers. What do you think would happen if she directly addressed the teachers and complained about discrimination? Chances are she would be dismissed as undermining the authority of the school, just as the Masons, and might be thought to lack credibility because of her poverty and drug addiction. The authors of this study suggest that teachers closely examine their biases against parents. Schools may also need to examine their ability to dialogue with parents about school policies in more open ways. What happens when parents have concerns over school policy or view student problems as arising from flaws in the educational system? How are parents who are critical of the school treated? And are their children treated fairly, even when the school is being criticized? Certainly, any efforts to improve effective parental involvement should address these concerns. Student perspectives. Imagine being a 3RD grader for one day in public school. What would the daily routine involve? To what extent would the institution dictate the activities of the day, and how much of the day would you spend on those activities? Would you always be on task? What would you say if someone asked you how your day went? Or, what happened in school today? Chances are you would be more inclined to talk about whom you sat at lunch with, or who brought a puppy to class, than to describe how fractions are added. Ethnographer and professor of education Peter McLaren, 1999, describes the student's typical day as filled with constrictive and unnecessary ritual that has a damaging effect on the desire to learn. Students move between various states as they negotiate the demands of the school system and their own personal interests. The majority of the day, 298 minutes, takes place in the student state. This state is one in which the student focuses on a task or tries to stay focused on a task, is passive, compliant, and often frustrated. Long pauses before getting out the next book or finding materials sometimes indicate that frustration. The street corner state is one in which the child is playful, energetic, excited, and expresses personal opinions, feelings, and beliefs. About 66 minutes a day take place in this state. Children try to maximize this by going slowly to assemblies, or when getting a hall pass, always eager to say hello to a friend, or to wave if one of their classmates is in another room. This is the state in which friends talk and play. In fact, teachers sometimes reward students with opportunities to move freely, or to talk, or to be themselves. But when students initiate the street corner state on their own, they risk losing recess time, getting extra homework, or being ridiculed in front of their peers. The home state occurs when parents or siblings visit the school. Children in this state may enjoy special privileges, such as going home early, or being exempt from certain school rules in the mother's presence, or it can be difficult if the parent is there to discuss trouble at school with a staff member. The sanctity state is a time in which the child is contemplative, quiet, or prayerful. Typically, the sanctity state is a very brief part of the day. Since students seem to have so much enthusiasm and energy in street corner states, what would happen if the student and street corner states could be combined? Would it be possible? Many educators feel concern about the level of stress children experience in school. Some stress can be attributed to problems in friendship, and some can be a result of the emphasis on testing and grades, as reflected in a Newsweek article entitled, "The New First Grade: Are Kids Getting Pushed Too Fast Too Soon?" Tyre, 2006. This article reports concerns of a principal who worries that students begin to burn out as early as third grade. In the book, The Homework Myth: Why Our Kids Get Too Much of a Bad Thing, Cohn, 2006, argues that neither research nor experience support claims that homework reinforces learning and builds responsibility. Why do schools assign homework so frequently? A look at cultural influences on education. Mai provides some answers. Cultural influences. Another way to examine the world of school is to look at the cultural values, concepts, behaviors, and roles that are part of the school experience but are not part of the formal curriculum. These are part of the hidden curriculum, but are nevertheless very powerful messages. The hidden curriculum includes ideas of patriotism, gender roles, the ranking of occupations and classes, competition, and other values. Teachers, counselors, and other students specify and make known what is considered appropriate for girls and boys. The gender curriculum continues into high school, college, and professional school. Students learn a ranking system of occupations and social classes as well. Students in gifted programs or those moving toward college preparation classes may be viewed as superior to those who are receiving tutoring. Gracie, 2004, suggests that cultural training occurs early. Kindergarten is an academic boot camp in which students are prepared for their future student role, that of complying with an adult-imposed structure and routine designed to produce docile, obedient children who do not question meaningless tasks that will become so much of their future lives as students. A typical day is filled with structure, ritual, and routine that allows for little creativity or direct, hands-on contact. Kindergarten, therefore, can be seen as preparing children not only for participation in the bureaucratic organization of large modern school systems, but also for the large-scale occupational bureaucracies of modern society. Gracie, 2004, p. 148. Emphasizing math and reading in preschool and kindergarten classes is becoming more common in some school districts. It is not without controversy, however. Some suggest that emphasis is warranted in order to help students learn math and reading skills that will be needed throughout school and in the world of work. This will also help school districts improve their accountability through test performance. Others argue that learning is becoming too structured to be enjoyable or effective, and that students are being taught only to focus on performance and test-taking. Students learn student incivility, or lack of sincere concern for politeness and consideration of others, is taught in kindergarten through 12th grades through the what is on the test mentality modeled by teachers. Students are taught to accept routinized, meaningless information in order to perform well on tests, and they are experiencing the stress felt by teachers in school districts focused on test scores and taught that their worth comes from their test scores. Genuine interest, an appreciation of the process of learning, and valuing others are important components of success in the workplace that are not part of the hidden curriculum in today's schools. Think it over. Do an online search for kindergarten schedule and look for a typical daily schedule. Do you think it includes a healthy amount of learning and play? Why or why not? To what extent do you think that students are being prepared for their future student role? What are the pros and cons of such preparation? Look at the curriculum for kindergarten and the first few grades in your own school district. Glossary achievement tests. Used to measure what a child has already learned. Aptitude tests. Used to measure a student's ability to learn or to determine if a person has potential in a particular program. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a neurological and behavioral disorder in which a person has difficulty staying on task, screening out distractions, and inhibiting behavioral outbursts. Autism spectrum disorder, a developmental disorder that affects communication and behavior. Dyslexia, a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. Ecological systems model, Bronfenbrenner's theory that we all belong to many communities and are influenced in the context of multiple environments, also known as ecological systems, organized into 5 levels of external influence: microsystem, mesosystem, exosystem, macrosystem, and chronosystem. Hidden curriculum, cultural values, concepts, behaviors, and roles that are part of the school experience but are not part of the formal curriculum. Home state occurs when parents or siblings visit the school. Children in this state may enjoy special privileges such as going home early or being exempt from certain school rules in the mother's presence. Or it can be difficult if the parent is there to discuss trouble at school with a staff member's sanctity state, a time in which the child is contemplative, quiet, or prayerful. It is often only a very brief part of the day's self-fulfilling prophecy. The tendency to act in a way that makes what you predict will happen come true. Street corner state in which the child is playful, energetic, excited, and expresses personal opinions, feelings, and beliefs. Student state. This state is one in which the student focuses on a task or tries to stay focused on a task, is passive, compliant, and often frustrated. Theory of multiple intelligences. Garner's theory that there are many kinds of intelligence. The modern version of the theory recognizes 9 forms of intelligence. Triarchic theory of intelligence. Sternberg's theory that recognizes 3 forms of intelligence: academic, creative, and practical.